each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Hello and welcome to Raw Recovery, a Trudging Together podcast. My name is Dion. We're on the 12 Days of Recovery, Step 6 today. There's my introduction for the podcast, so yay. If you've been listening to this, you kind of know how it goes. Give me a minute before we actually get started, but we will be in the 12 by 12 again today on Step 6. About as long as Step 5, maybe a little shorter. Let's do some sharing on Facebook here, and we'll go ahead and kind of get started because honestly, I need to get out of here. So I gotta go try and apply for Medicaid, and yeah, so I'm trying to stay in a good mood so I don't go there and chew anybody's ass out. Because I will. Share a little story with everybody here while we're waiting. I didn't have my driver's license most of my adult life. No, not DUIs, child support. Just a different problem of alcoholism. So they called me last night and they said, "Hey, did you know that your driver's license has been suspended since August?" And I'm like, "What? No, I did not know that." And it took a while just to get to that because I am not big on Jefferson County child support. Nope. And they put me through the ringer. Good morning, Leisure. So, but yesterday, I decided that I'm going to kind of drop almost everything that I do, and I'm going to go get a job that I like. That's what I'm going to do, a part-time job at Aurora Mental Health as a peer specialist, helping people with recovery and mental addictions, other mental addictions, which is something I'm very good at. Well, in order to do that, I kind of need my driver's license. So when they told me that, this was a God covering my ass. It was God covering my ass saying, "Hey, if you're going to do that, you're like." So anyway, I'm talking with her, and I've been working this system longer than this girl's been alive. Okay. I've been working with this system and child support for 30 years. Oh, I spent 6 months in jail, Leisure. Not because I wasn't paying, but because I didn't show up to my review. But anyway, so I had a lot of resentments to work through there. But she was like triggering. It was triggering. She did not do it, but it was triggering my PTSD. I got through it. And I said, "Okay, well, when was it suspended?" She said, "August 15th. I said, "Okay, so did I pay in July?" She said, "No." I said, "Did I pay for July?" She looks at it. She goes, "Oh my God, your license is not supposed to be suspended." I'm like, "Yeah, no shit, huh?" But now I got to pay another $100 to get it, and I don't have $100 to do that. So they're going to have to take my $100 and eat it because I'm going to have to, and they're going to have to pay the child support for next month. Because yeah, there we go. All right, this is God working in our lives, right? So what else is that? That was God saying, "Yes, Dion, that's what you're supposed to go do now." So we got to take these things in stride and what they were for. Because she was like, this is good. We caught it. And I'm like, "Yeah, it is good that we caught it, but why did you not investigate before you called me?" And disrupted my night and did all of this. The phone call should have been, "Hey, Dion, did you know that your driver's license has been suspended since August? We screwed it up, so I'm calling to fix it." See, it would have been a much different conversation. Now I want to get a lawyer. All right, let's get to Step 6. All right, that story very much has to do with Step 6. All right, welcome to the Daily Trudge. My name's Dion. I'll be your host. If you're here, please say hello. This is probably going to be a little bit quicker today. Like I said, I got to get out of here. So probably within a half hour. So we will do what we can. Before we get started on Step 6, what I like to let people know is this is about perfection. This step is about perfection. Okay? Yes. It is about striving towards a perfection. If we striving towards a perfection we know we may never reach, and we're okay with that. Yeah, well, leisure, I don't know about that. No, no. It's Jefferson County, so yeah, I agree. All right. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. Step 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of characters. Here it comes. This is the step that separates the men from the boys. So declares a well-loved clergyman. Let's rephrase that. This is the step that separates the children from the adults. So declares a well-loved clergyman who happens to be one of AA's greatest friends. He goes on to explain that any person capable of enough willingness and honesty to try repeatedly step 6 on all of his faults, without any reservations whatever, has indeed come a long way spiritually, and therefore is entitled to be called a man who is sincerely trying to grow in the image and likeness of his own creator. Look at that. You've earned something. Look at it. You've been entitled. Now, that's don't take that as an entitlement, okay? But yeah, you're entitled at this point in step 6 to say, you're a spiritual person now. Of course, the often disputed question of whether God can and will, under certain conditions, remove defects of character will be answered with a prompt affirmative by almost any AA member. To him, this proposition will be no theory at all. It'll be just about the largest fact in his life. He will usually offer proof like this in a statement like this. So, before I move on, we can use the story that I told you. If I had not been a spiritual person, that phone call would have went sideways. So sideways. But instead, at the end, I told her, hey, you know what? I'm going to tell you, I am pissed at Jefferson County right now, but I'm not upset with you. I'm not, and I wasn't. She was just a messenger. You don't shoot the messenger. Very much. Do never ever shoot. You do not abuse the messenger, man. Okay. Now, she's just a young lady trying to do a job so that she can probably feed her children, right? Yeah. Yeah. So I need to treat her with a little respect. That was hard because my PTSD was triggered. Actually, it was more like my anxiety, right? But I was getting flashes of shit that had happened to me throughout my life around Jefferson County. So I had to work with that. Well, thank God I could. Thank you, God. See, it was a miracle. And if we look at it this way, then we can grow. All right. Sure, I was beaten, absolutely licked. My own willpower just wouldn't work on alcohol. Change of scene, the best efforts of family, friends, doctors, and clergymen got no place with my alcoholism. I simply could not stop drinking, and no human being could seem to do the job for me. But when I became willing, which is the principle behind this step, when I became willing to clean house and then asked a higher power, God, as I understood him, to release my obsession to drink, it vanished. It was lifted right out of me. In AA meetings all over the world, statements just like these are heard daily. It is plain for everybody to see that each sober AA member has been granted a release from the very obstinate and potentially fatal obsession. So, in a very complete and literal way, all AAs have become entirely ready to have God remove the mania of alcohol from their lives, and God has proceeded to do exactly that. I agree. Leisure says that a lot can be answered with the serenity prayer. Yeah, so turn the serenity prayer into more of a question. And the wisdom to know the difference. It's the most important line. It really is. Thanks for putting that very simple answer in there, Leisure. I absolutely agree with that. Because it brings us right back to what we're trying to do. Right? That's what even if like there's a saying that we have, like, a day at a time, even if it doesn't apply to what's going on, it will still remind you of what you're doing and what you are trying to become. A better person. A better person. Having been granted a perfect release. We don't know what perfect is, but it's perfect. Having been granted a perfect release from alcoholism, why then shouldn't we be able to achieve the same means a perfect release from every other difficulty or defect? This is the riddle of our existence, the full answer to which we may be only in the mind of God. Nevertheless, at least a part of the answer is apparent to us. What are these things? Well, most of it's just our selfishness for ourselves, and we don't think of others. That's the big one. Once we get over that hump, okay, and here we are again talking about this young lady who had to call Dion. Not an easy phone call for her, and I complimented her at the end too. Yeah, and I told her, I'm like, you gained ground with me. You did, and she did. I meant that. Okay, because then she got off the phone knowing, because listen to my voice, and she was a young lady, man. Yeah, ego is a big one also. Absolutely. Okay. So when men and women pour so much alcohol into themselves that they destroy their lives, they commit a most unnatural act. Defying their instinctive desire for self-preservation, they are bent upon self-destruction. They work against their own deepest instincts. As they are humbled by the terrific beating administered by alcohol, the grace of God can enter them and expel their obsession. Here, their most powerful instinct to live can cooperate fully with their Creator's desire to give them new life. For nature and God alike abhor suicide. This is a hard one. Okay. Now, this is what I want us to, the track mind that we should have here. When I was drinking and knowing that it was hurting me, that it was killing me, what we call that is suicide on the installment plan. And that goes against every natural instinct that you have. No wonder it was crazy. Okay. I'm not big for that nature and God abhor suicide. I'm not big on that. No. I've known plenty of people, okay, and they went to heaven. They went to heaven. I don't care what anybody says. I know they went. I just got this feeling, right? And what is that feeling? Well, it's God, man. It's God reassuring me that my friends are in heaven. Yes. Okay. So I'm not big on that line. Not so. And I could discuss that for 15 minutes, but we got to get back to this. But most of our other difficulties don't fall under such a category at all. Every normal person wants, for example, to eat, to reproduce, to be somebody in society of his fellows. And he wishes to be reasonably safe and secure as he tries to attain these things. Indeed, God made him that way. He did not design man to destroy himself by alcohol. He did give man instincts to help him stay alive. And those are the instincts that we need to learn. Now, in a literal sense here, we're being reborn. It usually happens in the third step. Those are the third step promises. You may not feel it, you may not know it yet, but you have. It is nowhere evident, at least in life, that our Creator expects us to fully eliminate our instinctual drives. So far as we know, it is nowhere on the record that God has completely removed any human being from all of his natural drives. Now, their natural instincts are still going to be there to survive, to, eat and sleep. I'm not going to procreate, We just got to be honest. I mean, there's several times when I've been working with a young man and he met a young lady, but I love her, I'm like, you've known her for 2 minutes. So I tell him, why don't you just go be honest with her? Because I'm a kind of guy where I'm like, we got to complete the steps first, but I cannot stop them, nor is it my job to tell them what to do. I can guide, but if they decide to go do that I'm going to do what I can to support them and help them stay sober. You bet. You bet. And then they always come back and go, yeah, she didn't want it. I'm like, yeah, see? And then they realize, oh man, maybe I better get to work so that I can get maybe I can grow up, have a wife, couple kids, and that white picket fence, man. It hurts to hear, but we got to become something worth having. That's the challenge of an alcoholic, is to become something worth having. And you are. I'm going to tell you that now. You're worth having. I know I don't know you. I don't need to. Good. Now next is we're going to describe the alcoholic, because remember, I take things to extremes on this stuff. So that's why balance is a very nice place to be. All right. Since most of us are born with abundance of natural desires, isn't it strange that we often let these far exceed their intended purpose? When they drive us blindly, or we willfully demand that they supply us with more satisfaction or pleasures than are possible or due us, that is the point which we depart from the degree of perfection that God wishes for us here on earth. That is the measure of our character defects, or, if you wish, of our sins. If we ask, God will certainly forgive our derelictions, but in no case does he render us white as snow and keep us that way without our cooperation. That is something we are supposed to be willing to work towards. He asks only that we try our best we know how to make progress in the building of character. Do your best every day to reach perfection. Okay, and do it. It says it right there. That is something I'm supposed to be willing to work towards. And I am willing to work towards perfection. Yeah, I'm willing. It makes for a better life. It sounds weird, okay? But here we're back at total independence. The only way to total independence is an entire dependence upon a higher power. Yes. Yeah. So step 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of characters. AA's way of stating the best possible attitude one can take in order to make a beginning on this lifetime job. This does not mean that we expect all of our character defects to be lifted out of us as the drive to drink was. A few of them may be, but with most of them, we shall have to be content with patient improvement. The key words entirely ready underline the fact that we want to aim at the very best we know or can learn. How many of us have this degree of readiness? In an absolute sense, practically nobody has it. The best we can do, with all honesty, that we can summon is to try to have it. Even the best of us will discover, to our dismay, that there is always a sticking point, a point at which we say, "No, I can't give this up yet," and we shall often tread on even more dangerous ground when we cry, "This I will never give up." Such is the power of our instincts to overreach themselves. No matter how far we have progressed, desires will always be found which oppose the grace of God. Yeah, those natural desires will oppose it. My brain can't help it. It just does it. What do we call these? Well, they're intrusive thoughts. Yeah, we get them. Okay. So if you find yourself saying, "No, I won't give this away," just go back to willingness. I'm willing to give it up. It doesn't mean I'm willing, I'm willing to give up anything to keep my recovery. But God is not going to do that to me. Okay? I'll tell you what, if God took my wife from me, no, I'd give up. I'd be done. But I'm willing. That's hard. It's hard. Yeah. All right. Because even like today, we're going to do Medicaid. I can't do it without her. Well, I can, but I don't want to. If that makes sense. And Leisure says, every day we get a chance to practice. Yeah. So wake up. I'm finding this more and more. I've been feeling different lately. It's more of this positive, it's because I just stopped fighting some things. And now people are reaching out to me that said, "Hey, do you have information on this?" I'm like, "No, I don't do that anymore. Best of luck." All right. I'm not going to do it anymore. That's why I decided to go get a job. Yeah. All right. Some who feel they have done well may dispute this, so let's try to think it through a little further. Practically everybody wishes to be rid of his most glaring and destructive handicaps. No one wants to be so proud that he's scorned a braggart, nor so greedy that he's labeled a thief. No one wants to be angry enough to murder, lustful enough to rape, gluttonous enough to ruin his health. No one wants to be agonized by the chronic pain of envy or to be paralyzed by sloth. Of course, most human beings don't suffer these defects at these rock bottom levels. Let's repeat that. Of course, most human beings don't suffer these defects at these rock bottom levels. What does that mean? It means that was the gift of desperation again. See, the gift of desperation just doesn't come from alcohol. It comes with our character defects are a big part of that, a very big part of it. We who escape these extremes are apt to congratulate ourselves. Yet can we? After all, hasn't it been self-interest, pure and simple, that has enabled most of us to escape? Not much spiritual effort is involved in avoiding excesses, which will bring us punishment anyway. But when we face up to these less violent aspects of these very same defects, then where do we stand? Yeah. So it says we who have escaped extremes are apt to congratulate ourselves. What is that? Because remember it said rock bottom before that. It's the only time I've seen rock bottom in here, and I don't like rock bottom. There's your bottom, and that's it. What are they saying? Well, I have 3 cars in the garage. I never got a DUI. I never got a DUI. I never had one. Okay. I just didn't get caught. Let's put it that way. There were a lot of times I drove drunk. You bet your ass. Okay. It scared the fuck out of me. Even while, yeah. Well, I remember once I went to go get a video game. I just had to play this video game, and I didn't have enough bus money, but I had enough for the game. So I took my friend's car and almost got caught. All right. So just because things haven't happened to you like they did others doesn't mean that, right? On page 52, there's the bedevilments. Those are the requirements. And nowhere in there does it talk about anything about monetary status. That is not it. Okay. Maybe you still have 3 cars in the garage, but that's because your parents are rich and they paid for it all. Yeah. See, maybe you were a driver and you earned that. Absolutely. And good job, man. Good job on you. But you're still an alcoholic. And that it's that alcoholism that puts us all on the same level. And that's where we become altruistic. Yeah. Good morning, Bren. It's good to see you. I'm in the 12 by 12 on the bottom of page 66, and I'm getting ready to go into 67. If you'd like to follow along, got a couple more pages. But for any of you that listen to my lives and stuff, and this is weird, I will be going live a little bit later too. So we must now recognize that what we must recognize now is that we exult in some of our defects. Yep. People are like, you're crazy. I'm like, you don't fucking know crazy. And I tell people I embrace my insanity. I'm happy to be living in a split level head. Leave me alone. Yeah, I loved it. Loved it when people call me precocious. These other names that separated me from them, that made me better than them because I didn't fit in. That's the frustration. So I did that. I did these extreme things because I didn't fit in. So I figured, well, I'll get some recognition one way or another. Yeah. Who, for example, doesn't like to feel just a little superior to the next fellow, or even quite a lot superior? Isn't it true that we like to get greed that we let greed masquerade as ambition? To think of liking lust seems impossible, but how many men and women speak love with their lips and believe what they say so they can hide lust in a dark corner of their minds? Even while staying within the conventional bounds, many people have to admit that their imaginary sex excursions are apt to be all dressed up as dreams of romance. Not going to cover that one. All right. You can figure it out. Self-righteous anger is also very enjoyable. All right. Any anger in its stuff, just it isn't good. It's what are you going to do with it? It's always what are you going to do with it? In a perverse way, we can actually take satisfactions from the fact that many people annoy us, for it brings comfortable feeling of superiority. Gossip barbed with our anger, a polite form of murder by character assassination, has its satisfactions for us too. Here we're not trying to help those we criticize. We are trying to proclaim our own righteousness. All right, let's put it in today's terms. That's called gaslighting now. That's gaslighting. That's the definition right there. It's one of the forms of gaslighting. So, when gluttony is less than ruinous, we have a milder word for that too. We call it taking our comfort. We live in a world riddled with envy. To a greater or less degree, everybody is infected with it. From this defect, we must surely get a warped yet definite satisfaction. Else, why would we consume such great amounts of time wishing for what we have not, rather than working for it, or angrily looking for attributes we shall never have, instead of adjusting to the fact and accepting it? And how often we work hard with no better motive than to be secure and slothful later. Only we call that retiring. Consider too our talents for procrastination, which is really sloth in 5 syllables. Procrastination. Oh, nice. Always got to check. Nearly anyone could submit a good list of these defects as these, and a few of us would seriously think of giving them up, at least until they cause us excessive misery. Where does that usually happen? 4-step. People always sloth on that fucking 4-step, man. Anyway. Yeah. I did too. And the 4-step was pretty straightforward for me. I've been doing stuff like that, writing things like that for a very long time. So, but that doesn't mean that I didn't need direction, the right way to do it. Yeah. Oh, I very much needed that. Some people, of course, may conclude that they are indeed ready to have all such defects taken from them. But even these people, if they construct a list of still milder defects, will be obliged to admit that they prefer to hang on to some of them. Therefore, it seems plain that few of us can quickly or easily become ready to aim at spiritual moral perfection. We want to settle for only as much perfection as will get us by in life, according, of course, to our various and sundry ideas of what will get us by. So the difference between the boys the kids and the adults, is the difference between striving for a self-determined objective and for the perfect objective, which is God. So it's about perfection. Yes, and it's okay. It's okay. What's the perfection? Peace and serenity. Accepting the fact that God's world is exactly the way it needs to be right now. That's perfection. You can reach that. It's not your perfection. It's not my perfection. It's your higher power's perfection. It's God's perfection. And it's perfect the way it's supposed to be. It's hard. It's hard. Yeah, right. Now, what will people say when they're doing stuff like this? Well, you'll usually hear something like, do the next right thing. Oh, I just do the next right thing. With no direction. See? I don't buy it. I'm sorry, I don't buy it. Because we alcoholics don't know what the next right thing is. How do you know what the next right thing is, right? No, Brand. Here we go. Let's pull out some Yoda. There is only do. There is no try here. You cannot try. You can either be or you can't. And you are. So now you need to accept it. Yeah. It'll happen. Don't you worry. Okay. Many will ask once, how can we accept the entire implication of step 6? Why, that is perfection. Yeah. Isn't it great? Oh, this sounds like a hard question, but practically speaking, it isn't. Only step 1, where we made a 100% admission we were powerless over alcohol, can be practiced with absolute perfection. That's it. It's the only one that you're going to get perfect. The rest of it is learning. If everything was perfect, you wouldn't be learning anymore. But we're going to strive towards that so we can learn as much as we can. Yes. Why? Because then we can help more of God's children, which is our primary purpose. The remaining 11 steps state perfect ideals. See, here's the thing. Your thought of perfection and my thought of perfection are two different things. Well, if everybody got what they wanted and it was perfect, it'd be a madhouse. It'd be a madhouse. They're goals towards which we look. And so they're goals. It's a goal. And anybody that isn't trying for that is not going to get the implications of step 6. Because there are good implications. Implications are consequences, same thing. Just a different word. They're goals forward which we look, and the measuring sticks by which we estimate our progress. Seen in this light, step 6 is still difficult, but not all impossible. The only urgent thing is that we make a beginning and keep trying. There you go. All you got to do is make a beginning and try your best each day. That's the requirement. And you will move towards perfection. Doesn't need to be, okay. Step 6 is very simple. It is. It's so simple, it takes discussion among alcoholics, okay? Now, what we didn't need to do was write 2 fucking books about it, okay? I'm sorry, but Drop the Rock is, no. Or The Ripple Effect. The name implies it all, Drop the Rock. That's all they talk about and give you different examples of how you drop a rock. It's all in here. No, it was just people trying to make money in AA. That's the way I see it. Anyway, the thing is if you overdo step 6, quit trying to figure out what came first, the chicken or the egg, and all this high philosophy kind of stuff. No, keep it simple and your answers will come. So yes, try not to throw punch the first person you see. Maybe the second, who knows? Or not at all. If we would gain any real advantage in the use of this step on the problem other than alcohol, we shall need to make a brand new venture into open-mindedness. We shall need to raise our eyes towards perfection and be ready to walk in that direction. It will seldom matter how haltingly we walk. The only question will be, are we ready? Looking again at the defects we are unwilling to give up, we ought to erase the hard and fast lines that we have drawn. Perhaps we shall be obliged in some cases to say, oh. There we go. Thought the power went out. All right. Let me fix my camera real quick. Sorry, people on the podcast. We're almost done here, though. There we go. Perhaps we shall be obliged in some cases still to say, this I cannot give up yet. But we should not say to ourselves, this I will never give up. Let's dispose of what appears to be the hazardous open end we have left. It is suggested that we ought to become entirely willing to aim towards perfection. We note that some delay, however, might be pardoned. Okay? Do not take that as something that you can use. We note that that word in the mind of a rationalizing alcoholic could certainly be given a long-term meaning. He could say, oh, How very easy. Sure, I'll head towards perfection, but I'm certainly not going to hurry any. Maybe I can postpone dealing. Sorry, my light went out again. So maybe I can postpone dealing with some of my problems indefinitely. Of course, this won't do. Such a baffling of oneself will have to go the way of many other pleasant rationalizations. At the very least, we shall have to come to grips with some of our worst character defects and take action toward their removal as quickly as we can. The moment we say no, never, our minds close against the grace of God. Delay is dangerous, and rebellion may be fatal. This is the exact point at which we abandon limited objectives and move towards God's will for us. All right. Yes, Brent, I understand that. So go back to being nice to you today. All right. I know that sucks. I'm sorry you're going through that. Yeah, a lot of things get on my nerves. Big thing that's ticking me off is anytime you try and get something done, there is no more customer service anymore. And when I call, I can't understand what they're saying. I don't mind; it doesn't bother me, but I can't understand it. So yeah, yeah. So I hope you have a better day. So step 6, we are entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Are they all going to be removed? Well, that's going to kind of be up to you now, isn't it? Are they removed? Well, what are the character defects? What were your character defects? So, all right, that's going to be it on step 6. I appreciate everybody being here. I said for my daily reflection people or my daily judge people, I'll be back a little bit later. I feel a little bit more open. So, all right. Thank you. I love you. Peace out.